The year 476 AD marks a pivotal moment in history. The once mighty Western Roman Empire, weakened by internal strife and external pressures, finally crumbled. Barbarian tribes, long a thorn in Rome's side, finally breached the empire's defenses. The last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, a mere teenager, was deposed by the Germanic warlord Odoacer. This event signified more than just a changing of the guard. It was the dramatic collapse of a civilization that had stood for centuries. With the Roman Empire in ruins, Europe was plunged into a period of chaos and uncertainty. Gone were the days of Roman law, order, and centralized government. In its place, a new era dawned, one marked by fragmentation, violence, and the rise of new powers. The collapse of the Roman Empire was not a sudden event, but rather a slow decline spanning centuries. Internal factors such as political instability, economic woes, and overexpansion weakened the empire from within. External pressures, including constant invasions from Germanic tribes seeking land and resources, further strained Rome's ability to hold on to its vast territories. The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD marked the beginning of the Middle Ages, a period of profound transformation in Europe. With the Roman Empire gone, Germanic tribes, no longer content with raiding and pillaging, began to establish their own kingdoms across Europe. The Franks, under the leadership of Clovis I, carved out a powerful kingdom in what is now modern-day France. The Visigoths established themselves in Spain, while the Ostrogoths ruled Italy. The Angles, Saxons, and Jutes migrated across the North Sea, laying the foundation for what would become England. These Germanic tribes, though often viewed as barbarians by the Romans, brought their own cultures, languages, and traditions to the lands they conquered. They were skilled warriors and horsemen, fiercely independent and deeply rooted in their tribal identities. While they adopted some aspects of Roman culture, they also retained their own customs and laws, creating a fusion of Germanic and Roman influences that would shape the character of early medieval Europe. The emergence of these new Germanic kingdoms marked a significant shift in the political landscape of Europe. Gone was the centralized authority of the Roman Empire, replaced by a patchwork of smaller, independent kingdoms vying for power and influence. These kingdoms were often at war with each other, their borders constantly shifting as rulers sought to expand their territories and consolidate their power. The rise of the Germanic kingdoms was a period of both chaos and opportunity. While warfare and instability were common, it was also a time of cultural exchange and the emergence of new identities. The Germanic tribes, once seen as a threat to Roman civilization, played a crucial role in shaping the political, social, and cultural landscape of early medieval Europe. In the midst of the political fragmentation and social upheaval that followed the fall of Rome, the Catholic Church emerged as a powerful unifying force. With its hierarchical structure, vast network of monasteries, and a message of hope and salvation, the Church provided a sense of continuity and stability in a world seemingly on the brink of chaos. As the Roman Empire crumbled, the Church stepped in to fill the void left by the collapse of Roman authority. Bishops often became the de facto rulers of cities, providing leadership and guidance to their flocks. Monasteries scattered across the countryside became centers of learning, preserving ancient texts and spreading literacy. The Church, with its emphasis on faith, morality, and spiritual salvation, offered a sense of hope and solace in a world beset by violence and uncertainty. The Church's growing power was not without its challenges. Corruption within the clergy was a persistent problem, and the Church's increasing wealth and influence often led to conflicts with secular rulers. Nevertheless, the Church remained the most powerful institution in Western Europe throughout the Middle Ages, shaping the religious, social, and political landscape of the era. The Church's influence extended far beyond the walls of its cathedrals and monasteries. It played a crucial role in shaping medieval art, literature, and music. Its teachings on morality and ethics influenced the development of law and government, and its monasteries, as centers of learning and scholarship, preserved ancient knowledge and helped to lay the foundation for the intellectual revival of the Renaissance. Out of the chaos and uncertainty of the early Middle Ages, a new social, political, and economic system emerged: feudalism. Based on a complex web of relationships and obligations, feudalism provided a degree of stability and order in a world where central authority had broken down. At the heart of feudalism was the relationship between lords and vassals. Lords, typically powerful landowners, granted parcels of land known as fiefs to their vassals, who in turn swore oaths of loyalty and military service to their lords. Vassals could be knights who provided military service, or nobles who held administrative positions. In return for their loyalty and service, vassals received protection from their lords and the right to govern their fiefs. This system of mutual obligation extended downwards through society. Peasants, who made up the vast majority of the population, worked the land owned by their lords, providing them with food and labor in exchange for protection and the right to farm a portion of the land for their own sustenance. This created a rigid social hierarchy, with lords at the top, followed by vassals, and then peasants at the bottom. Feudalism, though often romanticized, was a complex and often brutal system. Peasants were tied to the land, bound to their lords by ties of obligation and servitude. Warfare was endemic, as lords fought amongst themselves for land, power, and prestige. Yet, for all its flaws, feudalism provided a framework for governance and social order in a time of great instability. After the turmoil of the early Middle Ages, Europe entered a period of relative stability and prosperity known as the High Middle Ages, roughly spanning from the 11th to the 13th centuries. This era witnessed significant advancements in agriculture, trade, and technology, leading to population growth and the rise of towns and cities. The High Middle Ages were marked by a renewed interest in learning and culture. The founding of universities, such as those in Bologna, Paris, and Oxford, fostered intellectual inquiry and led to a rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman texts. This period also saw the flourishing of Romanesque and Gothic architecture, as evidenced by the magnificent cathedrals and castles that dotted the European landscape. The Crusades, a series of religious wars launched by European Christians to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control, had a profound impact on Europe. Though ultimately unsuccessful in their primary objective, the Crusades exposed Europeans to new ideas, technologies, and trade goods from the East, stimulating economic growth and cultural exchange. The High Middle Ages were not without their challenges. Religious conflicts, such as the Crusades and the persecution of heretics, continued to plague Europe. Power struggles between the church and secular rulers, such as the investiture controversy, highlighted the ongoing tensions between spiritual and temporal authority. Nevertheless, the High Middle Ages represented a time of significant progress and transformation, setting the stage for the even more dramatic changes that would follow.